It is the morning of August 24th, 79 AD. Picture this. You are standing in the Forum of Pompeii, the beating heart of one of the most prosperous cities in the Roman Empire. Around you, the marble columns gleam white in the morning sun. Merchants are already setting up their stalls. The smell of fresh bread drifts from the bakeries on the Via dell'Abbondanza. A politician is making a speech from the steps of the Temple of Jupiter. Children are chasing each other through the colonnade. Dogs are sleeping in the shade. This is a city of 20,000 people, a city of wealth, a city of culture, a city that has existed for over 700 years, a city with theaters and bathhouses and fine restaurants where you can sit outside and watch the world go by. A city with running water, actual running water, piped from the mountains through an aqueduct so sophisticated it would not be matched in Europe for over 1,000 years. This city is alive in a way that feels permanent. That feels inevitable. The kind of city that you look at and think, this will always be here. It will not always be here. In exactly 25 hours, every single person you can see right now will be dead, dying, or running for their lives. The forum you are standing in will be buried under 4 meters of volcanic ash. The bread in those bakeries will still be sitting in the ovens, carbonized but intact, when archaeologists dig it out 1,700 years from now. The dogs sleeping in the shade will be frozen in time, their shapes preserved in the ash, curled exactly as they lie at this moment. And the city itself, this city that felt permanent, inevitable, eternal, will simply cease to exist. Not slowly, not gradually, in a single afternoon. This is the story of the last 24 hours of Pompeii, hour by hour, minute by minute. And if you think this is just ancient history, stay with me. Because what happened here has happened again and again throughout human history. And it will happen again. Welcome to Fallen. To understand what Pompeii loses on August 24th, you first need to understand what Pompeii is. By 79 AD, Pompeii has existed for more than 7 centuries. It began as a small Oscan settlement on a lava plateau above the river Sarno, a practical location, easy to defend, close to the sea. The Etruscans passed through. The Greeks established a trading presence. The Samnites conquered it. And then, in 80 BC, Rome arrived. Under Roman rule, Pompeii transforms. Money pours in. The Forum is rebuilt in marble. A new amphitheater goes up, one of the oldest surviving stone amphitheaters in the Roman world, capable of seating 20,000 people. That is the entire population of the city. On Games Day, every single person in Pompeii can attend. The bathhouses are extraordinary. There are 3 major public bath complexes in the city, each with separate sections for men and women, each with heated rooms, cold plunge pools, gymnasiums, and mosaic floors of breathtaking detail. The Romans do not take baths. They perform baths. Going to the bathhouse is a social event, a political event, a business event. You spend hours there. Walk down the Via dell'Abbondanza, the main commercial street, and you pass more than 150 businesses in under a kilometer. Bakeries. Wine shops called thermopolia, where hot food is kept warm in stone counters with built-in containers, like the fast food restaurants of the ancient world. Laundries where workers tread cloth in large vats. Garum factories producing the fermented fish sauce that Romans use on everything. The wealth of some Pompeian families is staggering. The House of the Faun covers an entire city block. It has 2 atria, 2 gardens, and mosaic floors of such quality that archaeologists initially refused to believe they were provincial work. One of these mosaics, the Alexander mosaic, is composed of 1.5 million individual tesserae, 1.5 million tiny pieces of colored stone, placed by hand. The walls of Pompeii's houses are painted in vivid reds, yellows, blues, and greens, colors so bright that when they were first excavated in the 18th century, visitors could not believe they were looking at something 1,700 years old. And in the background of all of it, always visible, always present, looming above the rooftops to the north, is the mountain, Vesuvius. The Pompeians are not afraid of Vesuvius. Why would they be? The mountain has not erupted in living memory. The slopes of Vesuvius are covered in vineyards. Farmers live there. The Roman writer Strabo concludes that the fires must have gone out long ago. The mountain is extinct. Strabo is wrong. And on the morning of August 24th, 79 AD, the mountain is about to prove it. Here is what is remarkable about what happens on August 24th, 79 AD. Vesuvius does not erupt without warning. The warnings begin weeks before. Sometime in mid-August, the wells in and around Pompeii begin to run dry. The aqueduct starts to fail. Fountains that have run continuously for decades suddenly stop. This is puzzling and inconvenient, but not alarming. The springs and wells are drying up because magma rising through the earth beneath Vesuvius is blocking the underground water channels. But no one in Pompeii knows this. Then, the earthquakes start. Small ones at first, a gentle trembling that makes the wine in your cup ripple, that wakes the dogs in the night, that sends small showers of plaster dust from the ceiling. Earthquakes are not unusual in this region. In 62 AD, just 17 years before the eruption, a major earthquake caused significant damage. The Pompeians rebuilt. They are used to earthquakes. Some people leave. We know this from the archaeology. The roads out of Pompeii in August 79 AD show evidence of increased traffic. Some wealthier families, perhaps more cautious, have quietly removed themselves and their most valuable possessions. The majority of Pompeians stay. Life continues. Whatever is happening with the mountain, it has been happening for weeks, and nothing terrible has occurred. People normalize. And then, at approximately 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the mountain makes itself known. Those who are looking north see it happen. The top of Vesuvius simply ceases to exist. In its place, a column of black and gray and white, punching upward into the sky with a violence that is almost incomprehensible. Within minutes, this column is 10 kilometers high. Within an hour, it will reach 30 kilometers, punching through the stratosphere, visible from 100 miles away. What Pliny the Younger is watching is the beginning of a Plinian eruption, the most violent and catastrophic type of volcanic eruption on the scale. And it is falling directly on Pompeii. At first, it seems survivable. The column of material shooting up from Vesuvius is rising at nearly 300 meters per second, but it is going up, not out. And Pompeii, standing 4.5 kilometers southeast of the summit, is not immediately in danger from the column itself. What Pompeii receives in the first hours is the ash. It is snowing in August in southern Italy. Except it is not snow. It is pumice, small, light, porous rocks formed in the initial explosion and now falling from the column like a bizarre gray blizzard. Each piece is roughly the size of a walnut. They are warm to the touch. They fall with a soft, continuous pattering sound. The people of Pompeii have perhaps an hour of confusion before they understand that this is serious. In that hour, the reactions are entirely human and entirely recognizable. Some people stand in the forum and stare upward at the darkening sky. Some run home to their families. Some grab their most valuable possessions. Some head for the gates of the city. The pumice begins to accumulate. By 3 o'clock, there is 10 centimeters of it on every flat surface. By 4 o'clock, 20 centimeters. By 6 o'clock in the evening, the accumulation on rooftops is causing the first structural failures. The lighter construction in the poorer parts of the city begin to collapse under the weight. Inside the city, people make decisions that will determine whether they live or die. Many choose to shelter. This seems rational. If the roof holds, you might be safe. Others choose to run. Some make it. We know this because there are descendants of Pompeii's population. And still, the column above Vesuvius grows. By midnight, it is 30 kilometers high. The eruption shows no sign of slowing. And then, at some point in the early hours of August 25th, the column becomes unstable. What happens next is completely different. The column collapses. A Plinian eruption column can only sustain itself if the material being ejected is hot enough and fast enough to keep rising. But eruptions pulse. They surge and subside. And when the ejection rate drops even slightly, when the column loses the energy it needs to keep rising, gravity takes over. The column falls. Imagine a wave. Now imagine that wave is not water, but superheated gas and rock fragments moving at 300 kilometers per hour, at a temperature of somewhere between 200 and 700 degrees Celsius. Imagine this wave does not break on a shore. It simply keeps moving, rolling outward from the mountain in every direction, destroying everything it touches. That is a pyroclastic surge. The first surge reaches Herculaneum at approximately midnight. It kills everyone who remains in the city. Instantly. Not from burns, not from suffocation, not slowly. Instantly. The heat is so extreme that blood boils inside bodies before any other damage occurs. The skulls of victims in Herculaneum sometimes explode from the sudden pressurization of boiling brain matter. Archaeologists have found the evidence. This is when the famous casts are created. When the surge hits a body, the extreme heat and the dense ash moving around it create a mold. The flesh burns and decomposes over centuries, but the shape remains, a perfect negative space in the hardened ash. When archaeologists in the 19th century discovered these voids and filled them with plaster, what emerged were figures frozen in their final moments. A man covering his face with his hands. A woman hunched over a child, arms wrapped around them. A dog, chained to a post. A group of people in a garden, sitting against a wall, close together. Some had cushions over their heads. One was holding a key. They were going to go back inside when it was safe. It was never safe. By dawn on August 25th, it is over. 6 separate pyroclastic surges have moved through Pompeii. The city has been buried under 4 to 6 meters of volcanic material. The original surface is now 4 to 6 meters below the new ground level. Vesuvius is still erupting, but there is no one left in Pompeii to see it. Pompeii disappears from human memory for almost 1,700 years. The eruption buries the city so completely that within a generation, people are no longer entirely sure where it was. The name Pompeii survives in a few ancient texts, but the city itself is gone. What they find in the following years of excavation is one of the most extraordinary archaeological discoveries in human history. Because Vesuvius did not just kill Pompeii, it also preserved it. The ash that buried the city did so quickly enough and thoroughly enough to prevent the decomposition and destruction that normally consumes ancient sites over centuries. Archaeologists break into houses and find them intact. Not ruins, houses. The paintings on the walls are still bright. In the kitchens, pots are still sitting on the hearths. In the bakeries, bread is still in the ovens, carbonized, but recognizable as bread. Pompeii's bakers were making round loaves scored into 8 segments, and 1,700 years later, archaeologists can count the score marks. The graffiti is intact, and there is extraordinary amounts of it. Pompeians wrote on walls the way we post on social media, constantly, compulsively, about everything. Political slogans, advertisements, personal messages, insults, declarations of love. One wall, "Vote for Aulus Vettius Firmus for Adele, he is a good man." Another, "Samius to Cornelius, go hang yourself." Another, "Nothing in the world can last forever." We know what Pompeians ate for breakfast. We know what they wrote on walls when no one was watching. We know what their houses looked like, what their streets smelled like, how their water system worked. We know, because of one specific piece of evidence found in 2018, that the eruption happened in autumn and not in August. The mountain waited until October. 3 million people visit Pompeii every year, and the question that brings people here is not really about ancient history. It is about recognition. We come to Pompeii because we recognize ourselves in it. We look at the fast food restaurants and the political graffiti and the guard dogs, and we think, that could be me. That is me. That is the true horror of Pompeii. Not the scale of the destruction, not the technology of the eruption, but the ordinariness of the morning that preceded it. They had bread in the oven. Here is the thing about Vesuvius that most people do not know when they stand in the ruins of Pompeii. Vesuvius is not dormant. It is not extinct. It last erupted in 1944. And in the 2,000 years since the eruption that destroyed Pompeii, the population of the area surrounding Vesuvius has grown to over 3 million people in the greater Naples metropolitan area. 3 million people, living in the shadow of the same mountain. The Italian government has evacuation plans. They have seismic monitoring systems. But volcanologists will tell you that a major eruption of Vesuvius today would be one of the worst natural disasters in modern history. The 20,000 people of Pompeii had no warning systems. They had only the slowly failing wells, the trembling cups of wine, the darkening sky. We have all of those things. We have the science, but we also have 3 million people who have built their lives in the shadow of a mountain that has killed before and will kill again. We normalize. We look at the mountain and we think, it has not erupted in living memory. The scientists say there will be warning. We will have time. That is exactly what the Pompeians thought. The bread was in the oven. The dogs were sleeping in the shade. And the mountain was waiting. If this is the kind of history that stays with you, the kind that makes you look at the world differently, then this channel exists for you. Every video, one city, one moment. One ending that no one saw coming. Subscribe to Fallen, and we'll see you in the ruins.